I don't talk a lot about American politics on this channel, purely for the fact that it's a British, it's a British politics channel. That's what we talk about here. But sometimes when you see things like this with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which if people again don't know what that is, Roe v. Wade was essentially a case back in the early 1970s where essentially it gave women the legal right for access to abortion. It basically meant states could not ban abortion, but of course that didn't stop them, or at least many states, from giving it a really good go. And one of the things that we have seen almost immediately was that 13 states had trigger laws waiting specifically for Roe v. Wade to be overturned. In fact, I think it was Arkansas, the attorney general, almost immediately after Roe v. Wade, the announcement had come down that it had been overturned, I think within 2 or 3 hours, she was already out in public doing a press conference of a signing into their abortion law, which pretty much outlaws abortion in that state. And you really have to ask yourself, how can a modern country not give access to abortion? I think it's easy for me to sit here and look at America and go, why on earth are you doing that? But then, of course, equally, it's easy for anyone else in Europe or even America to look at the UK and just go, why on earth did you, elect Boris Johnson? Why on earth did you, do Brexit? So, I get it. Countries from time to time will do stupid things or elect idiots. That's just, unfortunately, I think, the nature of any political system. And it's not just a modern thing either. I think this really stretches back all the way back to, ancient Rome. Bizarrely, there is on record, of course, Roman senators discussing the idea of giving people Roman citizenship. And if you look at it and that text and the conversation they are having, it is the exact same debate, or at least the exact same phrases and the language that hard right wingers use to try and deny sort of immigrants, citizenship, or try to, kill off any immigration coming into the country. It's bizarre. But anyway, back to sort of Roe v. Wade. This is going to have disastrous consequences. It really, really is, for so many women throughout the, America. And we've already heard that California and New York are going to try and be safe havens. But that potentially won't last long either. It is very likely, in all probability, the Republicans will probably get, maybe at the next election, be in control of the presidency, the Senate, and Congress. Is that the same thing? You know what I'm talking about. Your other lower upper house, whatever it is. Again, like I say, I don't talk about US politics often. But it is very likely they could do that. And if they do that, it is very likely they will implement a full federal ban on abortion. That is the unfortunate potential future we, or at least you, are sort of looking at if you are a woman in America. And generally, it must be very, very terrifying for many women over there, having a right pretty much stripped away from them. And to anyone out there who is probably watching this, who is pro-life or pro-abortion, whenever I've seen, you guys talk about how you're so pro-life. To me, you're not pro-life. Instead, you are making a pro-birth argument, because if you were really such anti, abortionists, then what you would rather want is to make environments or to make laws where women feel far more comfortable and far more safe and secure in giving birth. Protect, you know, mothers. I mean, in a lot of areas in a lot of America, um, there is still very, very questionable, rights about pregnancy leave or anything like that, where again, something in the UK we take for granted. That's practically built in when as soon as you sign a contract, as that's practically already there. It's ironclad. But the real reason, of course, why this, has come in is because it is religious. And again, you guys, you're not making a pro-life argument, you're making a pro-birth argument, because Republicans and even pro-life people themselves do not seem to care about passing any laws or helping, young kids develop or making sure that they have good life, lifting them out of poverty. There is not that system there. That doesn't seem to exist. And I'm sure people correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently in America, your sort of orphanage system, if kids go sort of get taken into state care, depending on the state, it can be an absolute nightmare. Why are these people not trying to help these places? Well, as we said before, this is ultimately a religious law, and it makes so funny when you see so many of these people who are like really anti like Saudi Arabia or anti-Iran, where these are theocracies and they are so dead set against these theocracies, partly because of course they're the Muslim theocracies, but they will condemn the actions of how like women are treated in these countries, but then will celebrate what has happened today. And unfortunately, this is because Donald Trump has taken, and the Conservatives do have a majority on the Supreme Court. And it's so funny because, I'm a big Sam Cedar fan. I really like the Majority Party. I like what they do. And Sam Cedar had a conversation with Jimmy Dore before I think it was the 2016 general election, who brought up this exact point, saying, "Hey, look, this is a potential reality that could happen." Jimmy Dore was like, the moon has a bigger chance of falling into Lake Michigan than that actually happening. So maybe if you live around Lake Michigan, maybe you should be watching for the moon about to fall into Lake Michigan. But yeah, women of America, you have my sympathies. It is not going to be good, and it is going to end up, unfortunately, a lot of deaths. And you want a perfect example of why of deaths? Look what happened in Ireland, of the situation that galvanized the abortion rights in Ireland very recently. It was all about a woman who came into hospital. She had to have an abortion, or else she was going to lose her life. And doctors, pretty much at that point, almost refused. Literally refused to operate on her because they might go to jail. And she was left in in the hospital dying, literally bleeding out because of that. And eventually, again, this story galvanized the support. And of course, Ireland, who once had one of the most strictest abortion laws in all of Europe, finally got overturned, and women there finally gained the right to that. Now, unfortunately, that looks like that may be the fate of many people, of women in America. And it's hard, it's difficult, it's really difficult. And I'm even having trouble trying to understand why on earth this got passed on in the first place. But yeah, women of America, you have my sympathies. But yeah, I think that's really all I've got to say on the issue. I hope you can overturn this, but I think it's going to take a heck of a lot of work. And unfortunately, between now and then, I think a lot of women are going to end up suffering quite a bit.